But yeah, I mean, talking about Pash being poor at social media, now I'm going to transition very smoothly into talking about. Oh, we're good on this podcast. Talking about Phil Foden's social media skills. If you haven't guessed already, you're locked into the top 4 podcasts. I mean, you probably don't need to guess. You probably clicked on the link to listen to the podcast, but welcome. And yeah. We're not going to talk about. We didn't want to talk about social media to begin with. We want to talk about the Champions League, didn't we? Because that's what we talked about in the last episode.
Yeah, we could brush over the results.
Yeah, we should. We should because I only got a reminder of that because of the lovely top that Nath is wearing.
That is a nice top, to be fair.
Yeah, I still rep it regardless of results. So, spoilers if you haven't seen any of the results from yesterday, but Liverpool are now out of the Champions
League. You probably knew that before listening to that episode anyway. Probably knew that last week, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
But yeah, so 2 English teams in the semi-final. None of them are Liverpool. Chelsea, Man City, and then PSG and Real Madrid.
Right.
Said that like they were playing each other though.
Real with cheese.
Oh, sorry. All right. All right.
Man City, PSG.
The big oil fixture.
Some of the European heavyweights and Man City. So gonna be interesting draw. Who watched all the games?
I watched the Bayern PSG one and Liverpool and Madrid.
Just the goals I've seen, to be fair, to watch them all the way.
Yeah, I watched the highlights of the others then.
Apart from Chelsea game.
Liverpool,
I probably should have watched Man City Dortmund because obviously I was rooting for Dortmund to win then. Obviously when Bellingham scored that worldie.
That was brilliant.
Was he now the youngest player to score in a
youngest
English player, yeah, to score in a Champions League quarterfinal. And he's at, I think, was it 5th in the list now of English? No, not him. Sorry, I'm thinking of Foden. Getting him confused again. Foden had a record, didn't he? He's the 5th person, I think, English person to score in both legs of the quarterfinal. So congrats for that, Phil.
I think nice one, Phil.
Yeah, congrats, Phil, if you're listening. Jude Bellingham should have really had that as well if his goal wasn't disallowed in the first time.
Yeah,
so that'd have been interesting.
Two shocking decisions, I think.
Even the youngest by quite a bit as well.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it was good to see those 3 on the same pitch, wasn't it? Foden, Bellingham, and Haaland. I think that's a real glimpse into 5 or 6 years.
I'm really glad as the only Englishman here, I didn't have to make that comparison. I love that. If I said that, I think you would have been like, "Oh, you can't put Bellingham and Foden in the same boat as Haaland," but you just did, so it's all good.
Well, no, they're definitely up there, aren't they? In terms of young
talent,
up-and-coming
players.
Foden,
I don't know. Foden could be like.
I think Foden. Yeah.
Foden could be like this. There's no ceiling. He could be up there with Haaland. I think it's a bit too early to tell with Bellingham, but. It's just exciting for like an English player to come through. Like it's like everyone talked about it when Guardiola got the job at City. They were like, maybe some English players could come through and like be taught the Guardiola way, and like this is actually like an example of that happening.
It's the only one.
Fun?
It's the only one that's actually happened to. Obviously,
but
it would be good to see Sancho go down the same route. But...
Yeah. He's not been there. Like Guardiola's not actually been there that long to like bring through young kids though to actually develop them. So do you know what I mean? I know he's been there maybe 4 or 5 seasons now, but that's probably 4 or 5 years to develop. So yeah, it's just good that, and he plays like he doesn't play like an English.
No, he doesn't.
Do you know what I mean? Like he's very like.
He's the most Spanish Englishman I've ever seen.
Exactly. Like you can tell he was like probably looking up to David Silva.
I think we covered that. I think we covered that massively before.
Yeah, massive influence.
But I mean, the fact that in terms of the whole tie, he had such a massive impact on it. Obviously, scoring the winning goal in the first leg, last minute, and pretty much yesterday as well did the same thing over the course of the 2 games. But I'm going to say as well, I agree that was a penalty. The pen. I saw it blown up on Twitter saying not a pen. Even people calling out UEFA saying again the decision was terrible. I saw it in bed last night and I was like, that's a pen. As soon as I saw it, I was like, that's a pen. His arm was literally like in such a weird, like is in a natural position.
The only reason that people thought it wasn't a pen, because I think by the rules of the book, if it comes off your head and then onto your arm, it's no handball. But I think it looks like it proper skims his hair, doesn't it? But his arm's so far out, you've got no complaints.
It's definitely a pen. But like when I saw everyone kicking off about it, I thought that someone else had headed it onto his arm. So I was like, it must be in like really close contact or something. Like they're only a yard or so away, but it was a definite pen, man. So I think it was a decent result. I think City obviously came back then and put it to bed, but yeah,
It was
a
a
definite
stupid
pen
one,
for
wasn't
me.
it? Because just before that, when obviously when Dortmund scored, we were thinking, here we go, classic City. They're gonna their asses going, but no, they did well, to be fair.
Okay.
Dortmund, definitely had a little bit unlucky in those two legs.
I think so.
I think
Yeah.
City did deserve to go through. Obviously, the goal probably should have stood in the first leg for Dortmund, and then City went up and it is it could have easily have gone to Dortmund, the two ties. But I agree. I think that it was the penalty because even though it's a bit harsh, like if his hand was, I don't know if it is different in the rules of the law, but if his hand was right down by his side and he's headed it down and it hits his hand, you're like, that's really harsh. But like Pash said, the hand was so high, it's like, as a defender, you can't have your hands up. If you have them that high, you've got to make sure the ball doesn't hit it.
I was flailing in the air. Yeah, you can't be doing that. Keep it down.
Haaland was pretty quiet though, wasn't he?
Yeah, he's been a little bit quiet recently anyway.
Didn't want to
I
score
think.
against his next club.
Yeah.
I think don't want to make a bad impression on Pep.
I think it's just that City just kept the ball so well, didn't they? They basically, I think Dortmund just got fed up in the end, just chasing around non-stop, and that's what City do. Especially half the time, they don't even go for the killer pass. They haven't got a striker who's going to do the running behind. They just knock it about you for 90 minutes. You just fucking knackered by 45.
What do you think about the bicycle kick in the Chelsea game? Lovely goal, consolation goal.
Hey, if that was a winner, that would be legendary. But
That's it. Yeah,
still,
it'd be
though,
up there, but
hell of a finish.
great consolation goal. That's all we can call it, really, isn't it?
If Ronaldo had done that, it'd be sort of best Champions League goal of all time, wouldn't it? Let's be honest.
Yeah.
That's the thing, like scoring that and like no one really being asked.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
no.
Everyone more bothered
That's
about
all right
grabbing the
there,
ball rather than like,
You've lost 2-1 on aggregate. Who gives a fuck? It's like,
I think Madrid Chelsea could be a good game though, but I see
I look forward to that. Yeah.
Chelsea doing them, to be
I
honest.
see Chelsea doing them as well. I'm not that impressed by Real Madrid. The only thing that might get Real Madrid through is just the sheer experience from the old boys. But
I'm actually praying for I think Tez, you said it last week, a Chelsea PSG final. Obviously, it'd be interesting for Tuchel as well, considering he lost the Champions League final with his opposition last year. Going up against it.
I can't see Chelsea just bagging it, out of nowhere, and then Tuchel gets sacked next season halfway through. It's so stupid.
You didn't win the Prem, but you're going anyway.
Yeah, Tuchel put a bet on Tuchel to win. Chelsea to win the Champions League. Tuchel to be gone before Christmas.
Yeah,
I bet that'd be a class bet.
It would be
6,000 to 1, hopefully.
It wouldn't be that high with Chelsea, but no, I think they've sort of, they're weird because they had that loss against West Brom, but then they've looked really, really good in other times. And you just think they could definitely like get like a 0-0 in Madrid and then like a 1-0 at home, and then
stink the place out.
I know, and do the same in the final. They're probably the fourth. I don't know. I haven't looked at the odds. They're probably the fourth least. I don't know. They're probably the outsiders to win out of the four.
Yeah, you think so? Just because the others are so good. I think City are hard favourites, aren't they, to win the actual whole tournament?
Yeah. I don't know. I rank PSG over City, to be honest.
Yeah, I think
personally, I don't know.
It's weird because
it's looking so good. It's looking so good, man. Like in the Champions League, anyway. I think they're not doing, not as they're battling for first in obviously League One, which usually they walk every year. But yeah, they're looking pretty good in Champions League, winning convincingly.
Yeah, Mbappe just carries on. We talked loads about how amazing Mbappe is. On obviously, I mean, look, Liverpool lost again. Common theme this year. How do you feel? Like briefly, I don't want to talk. No one wants to hear you talk about it the whole time. But
I just want to put a fucking knife in me.
I just want to from a Liverpool fans, like how this season basically over. I just want to see your tears and hear your reaction to it. To be honest,
hey, ain't nothing wrong with Europa League, bro. All right, if we get that. Hopefully, we still get Champions League, though. I think it's all up for grabs, especially with Chelsea now.
Mate, I would focus on Europa League first. I would focus on securing that first.
Fuck up, man. Jesus Christ. You focus on Europa League.
Oh, you're battling Spurs for Europa League. Like, that's a hell of a battle to be in.
Not, man. We're in 6th place. We're like fucking 2 points off top 4, man. Grow up.
I think you could probably. I reckon you might be able to squeeze in top 4. Like
I think we will.
Chelsea will be focused on Champions League and that.
Yeah.
I think you might be able to just creep in there. It depends if you hit form. You know, you probably who have you got on the weekend? You probably flop it against whoever.
We're not playing bad at the moment, which is good. We're just not playing amazing as we used to, and that's why everyone's giving us a bit of shit, really. But at least we're not losing.
Because it looked like you made so many chances against Real Madrid. It looked like
we looked incredible, and we just had fuck all to show for it. That's it.
Yeah. But everyone was missing. Like Mane's just a shadow of the player. Salah was missing easy chances. Wijnaldum's, I don't know, thinks he's in Barca already, doesn't he? Firmino. It looked like they had so many shots inside the box, and I've seen quite a few where they just skied over the bar.
Yeah, he said a load of chances, but it wasn't as many shots as you would have thought. The amount of chances he had was ridiculous. Getting in there and then no one pulling the trigger to go for it. Like I said, it's one or two good chances, but at the end of the day, it's just football now. We got a 0-0 draw out there, so we can go away with that cup.
The reason why I say it is obviously I feel like Chelsea are like battling for fourth, not guaranteed. It could be a good thing for Liverpool. Like now, it's like Liverpool just completely focused on the league. You kind of like hoping. Obviously, like what happens? I should have said this before, but it used to be that if your team in the top four won, then fifth would get it. I don't know if that's still the rule. I don't. Yeah. I know if Chelsea came out the top four and they won, then top four it'd be five. But what? So if Chelsea come fourth and they win the Champions League, then the fifth in the Premier League.
Place.
Unless they've changed in the last sort of year or two.
I know. Okay. As far as I'm aware, that's still the case unless they changed it recently.
That makes it even more interesting. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like it makes.
Jose gets Champions League football and he's like, I told you I'd do it. Wins the League Cup and gets Champions League football through fifth and he just starts tapping the bags. Like, love to see it.
Yeah, it tends to be running around like a little girl.
Said it was top off.
Anyway, going back. Sorry, Pash, go on.
I was just saying, I think whoever wins out of City and PSG, I think they're going to be the winner, though.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
They're going to have too much. Whoever they meet in the final, I think that's sort of like a mini final, really.
This year, I just hope it's not a shit final. I feel like we've had 2 shit finals in a row. I just want an entertaining final. Obviously, we're all going to be neutrals now, whichever way it goes, really. So I'm just praying that it's going to be a good game. But
can we do the podcast in the pub on the day that happens?
Yeah, because
final.
GoPro strapped its head to
Stay tuned.
I think realistically though, if we want it to be a good game, you need Real to beat Chelsea, and then you probably want it to be PSG. I think if you want the best footballing game, I think or Man City, because Man City they do play good football. Because you feel like if Chelsea gets to the final, then I don't know. I know they've scored some big. You just think it's gonna be very defensive and just scrape a 1-0.
I think there'll be some juicy final. Like the Bayern PSG ties were so good. Do you when you miss Champions League football and then you like those games, you watch Neymar and that and the performance, and it just gets you riled up again. And then you get other Champions League games where they build it up and it's just stink the place out and it's a 1-0, 0-0. But I think the way PSG are playing, I think Pochettino's got them all in unison, whereas before I think they were playing for individually. It looks like he's got a real tune on them now. And I think they're so entertaining. Di Maria was looking like a different player altogether. He was doing like little flicks and then Neymar doing little back heels back to him. So I think they'll carry that through to the final. And I think, probably going to win it as well.
I can't wait for Man City to go through to the final, lose, and then Phil Foden celebrate on social media that he's won the Champions League.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to mention. Anyway, did you see apparently a social media team made the hiccup and tagged Mbappe in it saying, "Are you ready?" or something, like teasing him.
It's not really like a hiccup though, is it? Like,
well, apparently
it's not nothing offensive at all. Like,
no, but Foden was saying that he didn't do it, and obviously he didn't want to disrespect Mbappe. Apparently, he was furious at it.
Mbappe would knock him out, I reckon.
Yeah,
Mbappe probably doesn't even know who he is. Who the fuck is that?
Probably thinks he's still a ball boy.
Yeah, he looks like a ball boy. To be fair.
Yeah, it's not like Joe Hart sort of mistake, but
no.
At the end of the day, if he didn't want to post that, it just looks a bit. To me, it looked a bit cheesy. Like I felt like when I was reading it, I felt like I was embracing my inner Roy Keane by being like, "That's not." Back in the day, it didn't used to be like that. Going on Twitter and like in your opponent in the semi-final, trying to be all pally. That's what I thought a bit when I saw Foden hugging Haaland after the first leg. Like it's just a bit like, I get that
He
like
did it again
it's
last
how
night.
it is, but it's
He's
just
just trying
like,
to tap him
well,
up,
after
though, isn't he?
after the 2 legs, it's a bit different. But it's like, do you know what I mean? Like that's basically half time. Do you know what I mean? After the first leg, it's half time. Still got, and you're trying to be all like, I don't know. It's just how football is now,
Yeah,
And
you see it like Manchester Derby, they're hugging in the tunnel before.
yeah, it's a
It's
bit.
weird, isn't it?
That,
So,
that
like-
rant that Roy Keane had about it was quality.
Yeah.
So funny.
Well, that's it. Like, I think show each other respect, like, but don't be all fucking kissing, hugging each other in the tunnel.
Obviously, there's this thing as well now with the Joe Hart thing, and like these football players don't have control over their own social media pages,
it's
which I find crazy. But I was going to see what you guys thought about it. Like, if you were a professional footballer of that stature, literally millions of eyes on you, would you put your personal accounts, which is supposedly coming from yourself directly, in the hands of a group of people or a company? Like, it seems like it's becoming a lot more popular these days. And I can see that you might not have the time, but if you don't have the time, then don't post as much. Like, I don't know. I don't know what your thoughts are on it.
I think they're back to the corner. I think they're strongly advised to do that. There's the whole thing about where people complain footballers don't really have personalities these days. Like, watch
they're like robots, aren't they?
Yeah, you watch interviews after, and they just got about 7 lines that they'll reel out. Oh, great to get the 3 points. That's the main thing. And they're so boring. That's why when you have footballers like Zlatan and that, where you do see some personality, it's, everyone goes crazy just because it's something different. I think they're just strongly advised from a young age now. Like, these people do your social media. This is what you say. Media trained on all platforms.
The media
basically.
trained to the.
It's quite sad because it is boring, but
no personality to it. Yeah,
you love to see like a Conor McGregor like personality striker, and just being an absolute bastard after games, and you. I don't give a fuck with the 3 points and the trophy.
Bit of a showman. That's what you're looking for, isn't it?
Yeah. Sell tickets. Well,
but obviously, there's these things then, like when Joe Hart posted that thing after Spurs got knocked out Europa League, saying "job done." Like,
my favorite tweet.
Like that's hilarious, isn't it?
That is
But
hilarious.
that's so bad. Like, imagine being a Spurs fan. Like, imagine us when we got knocked out of the Champions League. Pash and Bruno posted saying "job done" on to the next round. I'd be fucking tamping.
Especially if you haven't watched the game and you just flick on your social media. You're like, come on, there, boy.
Yeah.
Looked at the score, you lost 3-0. You're like, oh, nice one, Bruno.
Like all these obviously the players then, like with things like that, they start blaming. It's my social media team. Do you reckon that's a bit of a cop out that they've actually got? They've got access to this. They can tweet whatever they want, and then if they say something bad, that's a cop out straight away. Oh no, sorry, it's my social media team.
Yeah, I think it's only a warranted cop out if they say. I think it should be in their bios or something saying it's managed by. Blah blah blah. Because then, if anything serious does happen, you never know in social media these days. If anything serious was to happen, at least then they covered their own back. Say, well, I said in my bio that's managed by these people, so take it up with them. But if you're unaware that certain, especially, I'm just thinking kids, do I mean like people in school and shit, like they look up to these footballers.
That's what they worry about these days.
Yeah, and like I remember when I was younger, I literally idolized Cristiano Ronaldo, and I still do. But like, imagine him coming up. You're laughing at Pash.
Thanks so much. You doing your hair like Ronaldo.
But imagine something like, if I don't know what it would be, but anything offensive or something got released on those pages, and like that's your idol. Do I mean like, and you're like, fuck, like something's messed up massively. So I just think that like in this day and age, if it's not being managed by the actual player, then I think they need to disclose it. Like influencers these days with being paid for adverts and being gifted these products and stuff. I think it all needs to be like crystal clear, because it could. So I just worry that it could get worse.
I don't even think it's just sports stars. I think it's anyone sort of famous. I think if you're an actor,
it goes for celebrities across the board. Yeah.
Don't you want to see someone with a bit of attitude?
Yeah. I mean, I think the biggest thing as well, it's also like these players do get a lot of abuse online, which I think you have to think about. Like, if you just give it to like a company to deal with, they don't have to like even get involved in that social media stuff. And also, like, you could say don't get social media, but like, if a footballer doesn't have isn't active on social media, they're not going to make any money off sponsorship, and like it's a ridiculous amount of money. So it's well worth them doing. And if they give it to a company, they like you know what I mean? People get death threats for losing a game or for missing a chance, and like
You
that is
open
another
your
side of
DMs
it.
up. You open your DMs up at 2 a.m. and all you see is somebody go, "You missed that penalty." You go
Exactly.
again."
So if
And
it's
you're
just like,
"Ah."
do you know what I mean? If you got fucking like Bill from Wolverhampton in an office somewhere, like flicking through your messages, and Phil Foden, you're a dickhead. He doesn't care. Do you know what I mean?
But
You know,
yeah,
so that's why I'm like, it's all very good saying have a personality, and you know, and I think if you know, none of us are footballers. Everyone wanted to be a footballer when they're a kid.
oh yeah,
Be like, oh, if I was a footballer, I'd have my Twitter and I'll be saying this and that. But like, they get so much abuse.
Yeah,
I
it's
think
not
you
as
got to
easy
look
as
at
that.
it. You got to look at it both ways.
Yeah,
you
like
know.
I don't want to bring it down, but Wijnaldum's Instagram post last night, I don't know if you've seen it, but it was horrific, man. Like,
Racist again.
yeah, just
Racism.
bro, but
Absolute
it's
racist.
literally every other comment, and he's got thousands of comments, and like obviously
It's
you
gross.
think then is it down to these social media platforms not doing enough, which I don't think they are. They're doing nowhere near enough.
yeah,
because,
take them down, isn't it?
I mean, it's just ridiculous. So, you know, in this day and age, obviously, it's a lot different to being a footballer now than 20 years ago with all the social media presence, I think. So maybe it is to protect them in a certain way because, you know, imagine being a footballer and seeing that every single day. Like, it'd be
It's
terrible on
horrific.
your mental health.
Horrific, like yeah.
You know, the thing is, I think what they need to do, and this is not just for footballers, is for all abuse, like and racism and sexism and all the isms. Like if you need to like verify the account and like make sure it's a real person behind the account, because anyone could. Do you know what I mean? Like you can go on, you can make a Gmail in a few seconds and then set up a Twitter and like just have no
IP
favor.
address ban or something like that.
I know exactly, and like it's just or you go to like, do you know what I mean? You can go to like internet cafe or something. I don't know. Do you know what I mean? You can just like it's so many ways around it. So it's you know what I mean? It's just a massive job to do. Which but it needs to be done.
Yeah, it
And
needs
I
to.
agree. Not enough
Oh,
is being
100%,
done.
yeah.
It's literally every day, isn't it? After every performance, you just like there's always racist abuse. Literally every game.
But it's like I see it, and I'm like, it makes me not want to be a fan of the sport because it's the only sport I see it in. I'm a massive sports person. I see it, you know, but out of all the others, it's a constant, and like it's so deflating even for me just to read it. I can't imagine what it's like for all these players that are involved and stuff. It's just.
I think it just represents a small audience. Obviously, it's a large audience, but it represents a small part of the fan base. So you know, you can't really give certain fans a bad name. It's just like a small group in a lot of fan bases where they just sort of at people, and I think media is sort of spotlighting it quite a lot lately. But then again, there's no one to take that second step. The police can't do it. Because what jurisdiction do they work in, sort of thing.
Yeah,
Police,
and the clubs are making more of an effort now as well. They got all these initiatives coming in, which is good to see. But you know, it's a step in the right direction. But more needs to be done. But
Slavia Prague player got 10-match ban.
Yeah, and Kamara got 3-match ban.
Yeah,
for being racially abused.
It's crazy, isn't it?
I think his might have been for. I don't know if they had a fight, but they were in each other's faces or something like that. And then, yeah, he got.
He didn't deserve to be banned.
He got a 10-match ban. Actually, I haven't read up too much about it, but there's a picture of Steven Gerrard like pointing at the guy who was being racist. So I think Steven Gerrard knew what was up, but like I think Rangers were complaining that 10-match bans just not long enough.
Yeah, no, definitely not. He's got some fucking courses, like, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Anything like he needs a fucking proper slap, like Gareth Bale elbow to the teeth ain't enough.
Yeah,
done it, but...
yeah, more needs to be done. But still on the subject of social media, did anyone see the Spurs thing this morning online?
Oh yeah,
they announced.
He's obviously seen it.
Yeah, he's obviously seen it.
He probably runs the Spurs page.
As well as Top Foot Podcast, he's got 3 different Spurs fan pages and a Jose Mourinho one. Spurs announced that they've got like a partnership with Dulux Paint as their number 1 paint supplier, right? Hilarious.
Okay.
As soon as it was announced, the Dulux social media team just started roasting Spurs. This was after it was announced, right? What? So they were getting replies like, "Oh, you better paint the trophy cabinet," from just random people, and Dulux were replying to that saying, "You need to dust the trophy cabinet first before you can paint it." Right?
That's amazing.
And all this shit, right? It was hilarious. I was reading it all, but they've done it like a couple of times. And there was like there was a photo of the Dulux dog was the mascot in the photo, and someone was saying like, "Oh, I think you'll do a better job up front," and the Dulux social media was just replying saying like, yeah, not much is going on in the
Why
score
would
and
they
the
do
goals.
that?
I don't know, it was
They
crazy.
literally roasted it. We're your number one sponsor for paint or whatever the fuck it is, like. But yeah, we think it's shit.
It was like there was like 5 or 6 replies, like roasting them about half hour after they announced it. Then at 5:30, Deluxe again tweeted apologizing for the whole thing.
That's
But I just think it was a good media stunt, to be honest, man. I think it was
Might
well
have been.
planned.
get people involved. Like.
Bro,
That's
if
like-
you think about it, right, Deluxe did that. So they did all this replies and they've won the hearts of every single fan who's not a Spurs fan. Because everyone's like, that's funny as fuck. Like, Arsenal fans are all over it. Do you know what I mean?
To be
Like,
fair,
They didn't have many. They don't have many followers. Like they have a lot of followers, but it's not like millions. It's under 1 million followers.
Dulux.
I don't know what it was at the beginning of today. It'd be interesting to see what it was at like 7 this morning compared to what it is like now. But it's mad as well. Like, I don't know why they've got their own paint sponsor. I don't know. It's because like watching Tottenham this year has been like watching paint dry. I don't know. Oh, I've been waiting to use that. I was on Twitter this morning. I was like, guess what I'm going to say in the podcast today?
Writing it down.
I don't know. I don't really know with obviously this Dulux thing.
I just thought it was really funny.
Yeah.
Another social media thing in the football world where it's just like,
Yeah,
I just thought it was
it's gonna definitely
funny,
makes me want to
man.
go buy some Dulux paint this weekend. Like,
Yeah, if you need to paint a room, I'm definitely buying
I
Deluxe.
don't need to paint my room. I'm just going to buy it.
I was saying,
a couple of tins on the side, like.
I don't know whether that bloke's probably been sacked now, but I'd take him where I work on the social media team. Legend. Like,
Sounds like a mastermind. Like.
mad
him.
respect. But yeah, I thought that was really funny. If you haven't seen it already, just type in Dulux and everyone's screenshotting us. They deleted all the tweets, but everyone screenshotted them. And
Oh, they deleted them.
Oh yeah,
That's the biggest bitch move ever, isn't it?
yeah, they definitely
Fucking delete the tweets and
definitely deleted them.
cop.
Oh, sorry, that wasn't Mr. Deluxe. That was the social media team.
Of course it was, yeah. Copping out once again, like.
Very smooth.
So basically, the moral of this podcast today was manage your own social media, pretty much. And if in doubt, don't get a Twitter. Just have 2 Facebook accounts. Ain't that right, Flash?
That's fair.
Boys, it's always a pleasure. We're getting back into it now, probably. So we'll be back very, very soon with a new one after this. FA Cup weekend coming up, or it might have been, depending when you actually listen to this. But boys, always a pleasure. If you haven't already, subscribe. I'm gonna do the finger thing, because Yoki never puts it under me anyway, so it'll be nowhere near. But
No, you just look like a
subscribe on
dafty.
YouTube. Pardon?
You look like a dafty.
Oh, I thought you said something Welsh then. But subscribe on YouTube, all social media, all of that. It's been arguably the best football podcast in the world. Top 4 podcast. Catch you later.